The world-famous Janssen Brothers from Arindong. Janssen Brothers from Arindong, a name where people still speak about within pigeon sport with a lot of reverence. The brother Janssens found themselves between the big ambassadors who carried out pigeon sport over the entire world. Henry was one of the original fanciers that founded the Pigeon Club in Arindong. He was a top fancier right from the beginning. In the period from 1908 until 1914, he had very famous ace pigeons such as Het Blauwtje with 21st. They had forgotten the wise word of their father. They made sure that the natural system as well as the breeding was still first in line. Their lofts are 4 sections built on the attic. The young bird section and the nest bird sections are below, and above are 2 sections for the widowers. As soon as you enter the lofts, you notice how quiet it is. All the landing boards are on the southwest. There are also 2 lofts on the backyard. One of them is called the wren. This is where the old birds are breeding. The other one is built with an aviary for the widowwood hens. Notice that all raised sections are situated under the tiles that cover the roof of the house. Several tiles made of glass take care of providing the light inside the sections. Because of the fact that between the shelf from which the sections are built and separated, there's still a lot of room. You can say that the pigeons can take advantage of all the air that is inside the wool attic. So fresh air is always there. Many times the brothers have to remove the snow out of the sections. The floor was always looked as if you could eat from them. Once per week, they use the vacuum cleaner so that there's no dust in the lofts. And beside that, they regular take broom and brush to disinfect the lofts. Once every year, they have a big cleaning and they brush everything with the water and chloride. After all the walls are painted white again. Before we go to this very important part of pigeon game, we ask the brothers what qualities they consider as important for a good pigeon to have. They say that the important things are the balance of the bird, a strong back, silky feathers, strong bends, a strong eye, a short back wing, the primaries not too wide, the last 3 primaries is possible the same length, a small tail. Extra important are the vitality and the courage of the bird. The next question was, how have you increased the odds of breeding these types of birds? Louis and Charles tell us, at first comes good performances and pedigree. We like to do some inbreeding. Nephew to niece seems the best mating. That's how we got the best results. The following things we tried never to do. Never mate 2 big birds together, otherwise you get chickens. Never mate small pigeons together or pigeons both of whom have deep keels. Also never mate pigeons together with so-called white eyes. As far as we are concerned, the vitality and the color must stay in the eyes, especially with pearl-eyed pigeon. The feeding of the birds is by the far the most important part. Most of the fanciers give their birds too much food. It is extremely important to feed the birds in a way that they always have their ideal weight. Their feeding schedule for the shorthand middle distance race is as follows. On Monday and Tuesday, very light grains. After that, bit by bit, some more energy in the food. And on Saturday morning, only small seeds. Carel gives an extra tip by telling that you must be sure birds when sheep do not have too much food. Otherwise, they get thirsty in the basket. The Janssen brothers mix their own foods. All kinds of grains stay separated in bags in the attic. And the daily they turn it by mixing it with a stick. The feeding time is adapted to the season. According to the Janssen, it's not important if you feed them at daylight or with electric light, but for them, they stay with nature as long as they can. Important, however, it is that the birds get fed always at the same time of the day. The birds get in the winter 31% corn, 38% barley, 15% wheat, and 15% beans. In the summer, 30% corn, 25% English peas, 27 wheat, 13% barley, and 5% beans. The secret weapon for the pigeons always get this water. One time a week, also a bathing water. In the bath water is always a big spoon of salt. The whole year long, the pigeons get on Sunday honey in the drinking water. Once a week, they give carrots cut in a very little pieces. The other vegetable they never give. In all the sections, the pigeons can eat vitamin minerals as much as they want. When the young birds are weaned, they stay for one day at the young bird section to get used to it. The next day, they are put outside in the landing board in order to have a good look around as soon as possible. This is done daily, as they think they will lose less pigeons from the loft when the young birds are too old before they get weaned. They often are lost from the loft because they go into the air and are not familiar enough with the area to come back down. On the first day, the brothers watch very carefully because sometimes they fly down or fall down and can't fly all the way to the high roof to get back to the landing board. The young birds are trained to come in with the referee whistle so that they rush in as soon as they hear the sound of it. It always, when they feed the birds, this whistle is used. This way, they call also the bird in when they return from a race. It's Jeff that can whistle the best. During the feeding, they touch all the birds one by one so that they get used to the hands of the fancier. They also try to get the birds to eat out of their hands for the same reason. Another thing that they do is talk to the birds constantly. The Janssen birds are so tame that they fly on the shoulders of their bosses and pick their ears. The brothers dislike shy birds. It is a joy to go to the birds because you can see that they like their boss. When you see the brothers take care of the birds, you notice immediately that they love their birds. The birds are allowed to fly until twice per day until the race begins. After that, they get trained together with the old birds. The training is no more than 3 times from 15 kilometers away. After that, they give 5 training tosses with a club at a distance of 38 kilometers. When the young birds are healthy and not heavily molting, they have to fly the whole young bird program. They like to raise young birds on the nest. As soon as they notice that there is a pair, they put a nest bowl right on the spot where the birds like to build the nest. If young birds race on the nest, they simply have to perform well. If not, they won't be there the next season. Loft flying should be given every day at the same time. The birds stay when there's fog, heavy rain, and snow. Long ago, they trained the birds very often. Sharel brought them away by bike 20 kilometers and Adrian watched them coming home. Nowadays, the young gun, the old birds are only trained 3 times before they are shipped for the training tosses of the club. Pigeons that are trained later in the season, they ship all the kinds of club in the neighborhood where they have training tosses all the time. Charles thinks it is very important that the birds are watched when they come home from training toss in order to get them used to going in very quick after landing. If you can't watch them coming, put some food for them as soon as they arrive. The pigeons were raised in the clubs as well in the region. Many fanciers, being envious, were happy not to have them as competitors. The result of it was the Janssen Brothers were suspended in 1954. That was a hard judgment against them. They were punished just because their birds were too fast. During the years 1960 to 1970, the cracks were born that are still in the pedigrees of the Janssen birds. Nowadays, the Mercs, Rocket, Sherpa, Kiloger, 019. The Janssen brothers advised the following things: a very dry loft with a lot of fresh air, a good family of pigeons, everything at a time schedule, patience, learn how to raise pigeons, never force anything, watch your bird carefully, watch the balance, the wing, the head, and the feathers. In April 2012, this last 23-year-old and 2 youngsters were being sold at the public auction, and the meat around world-famous strain of pigeons ended. That they still were very wanted could be told when you saw the average over 20,000 euro for many a true collector's item. This story isn't complete at all, but we did try to put the world-famous Janssen Brothers and few of their celebrated pigeons in the spotlight, where they belong.